What's going on, guys? Super Insane 18 here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a Rescue Ace Snake Eye deck profile. This is something that I've been wanting to do since the release of Phantom Nightmare because it is an incredibly strong strategy, and that is why I'm not going to be showing you one, but two combos at the end of the video, so make sure you watch all the way through for that. And if you want a more budget-friendly, the reason for the quotes is because obviously we are playing Wanted engine still, but if you want a more budget-friendly version of this deck that doesn't play the Snake Eye combo or the bonfires, let's go ahead and try to get this video to 100 likes. That will show me that you guys want more content on Rescue Ace, so let's go ahead and jump on in. To start off the main deck, we have our two copies of Rescue Ace Hydrant. Now, because we are playing the Snake Eye stuff, this did have to come down to two, because on its own, it is not a one-card starter. We don't have room to play the All Mirage, which means we don't have a way to go into Heat Soul off of just a single copy of Hydrant, and because of that, that means that we kind of have to make a little bit of concessions, but we still want this in our deck, obviously, because it is the heart and soul of Rescue Ace. We have our one copy of Airlifter because it is limited to one. While this is still a one-card combo, it is not the best one-card combo. That has kind of been delegated to other cards now, but definitely still important to play because we want to be able to search for our spells. We have our two copies of Preventer and our two copies of Turbulence. That is just super standard for the Rescue Ace lineup. We are missing potentially the Impulse lineup with Impulse and Fire Attacker or Fire Engine, depending on personal preference, but the Snake Eye stuff substitute for that very, very well, so we're going to show you guys how we're going to play with those as well. We have our three copies of Snake Eye Ash. This is the best one-card starter, and you guys will be seeing a combo with it at the end of the video, paired up with our two copies of Poplar and our one copy of Flamberge. Now, this deck doesn't really need to play Oak because we aren't really going to need the Snake Eye stuff for the Crackback or the follow-up. The Rescue Ace cards are very good at kind of recycling themselves and giving you the ability to continue playing, so Oak just really wasn't necessary, and we'd rather dedicate that space to more important cards, such as the Diabellstar. Now, we have two Diabellstar the Black Witch. I really want to play three, but unfortunately we just don't have the room. I ran the math, maybe I'll put it on the screen, maybe I'll just talk about it, but the math is that we currently have 15 starters, which is almost a 92% chance of seeing a one-card combo, Diabellstar being one of those options. By bumping Diabellstar up to a third copy, that only changes it by 1.5%, which doesn't really matter for the grand consistency of the deck as a whole, so you don't really need to have it at 3, but it is definitely an option. Then we have some hand traps with the 3 copies of Ash Blossom and 3 copies of Effect Veiler, and that is going to do it for the monsters. These are just probably the best hand traps of the format right now. We have our 3 copies of Emergency. Let me go ahead and straighten that out a bit. That got a little too messy. 3 copies of Emergency. This is just an incredible card. Not only does it let you just summon your guys from your deck, but it also potentially lets you play around certain interruptions and hand traps that target the guys that you have on field. We have our 1 Alert, our 1 Rescue, and our 1 HQ. Really standard for the Rescue Ace spells. Onto the Wanteds, we have 3 copies of Wanted, because again, this is essentially a one-card starter, paired with our 1 copy of Original Sinful Spoils. This is how we are able to access the Hydrant off of the Snake Eye engine, which is why it meshes so well with the deck, because obviously we were playing the Wanted and Original beforehand with the Black Witch, but now with Ash and Poplar, we have so many more ways to access this, which just kind of get us into our Rescue Ace engine. We have our 3 copies of Bonfire since we are playing the Snake Eyes. Unfortunately, that's just something that comes with Snake Eyes as a deck. And then for the final spell, we have a copy of 1 for 1. This is another 1-card starter. You need a discard, so 1.5 card starter, just because it lets you get into your Ash, your Poplar, your Hydrant. There's so many options for this depending on what you open with your hand, that just makes it an incredible way to start. We have our 2 traps in Contain and Extinguish. These are just really good interruptions for your opponent, especially if you have Hydrant on board. And finishing things up, we have our 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. That makes a main deck of 40 cards. Let's show you guys the extra. And do not forget that we are dropping the popular Monsters Metal Field Center on my website, insanetcg.com. Pre-orders available on March 15th. I am thrilled with the way that this turned out. Diabellstar has become one of my favorite monsters of all time, and this art just looks incredible. The way that she's holding up Poplar, she's holding a coin that has the 1 star. I just love everything about the way that this looks. The border being her chain scythe. It's just an incredible looking field center, so make sure you guys are ready for that pre-order. Again, that is March 15th on insanetcg.com. Moving on to the extra deck, we have our 1 copy of Linkuriboh. This is just very standard and very important in any strategy that is playing level 1 monsters. Onto the Link 2s, we have our 1 copy of Barricade Board Blocker, 1 copy of Dark of the Dark Charmer, and 1 copy of Hida. You guys are going to see in the combo how important the Barricade Board Blocker actually is, and the Charmers are just the Charmers. We're in a fire format, so Hida just makes the most sense, and the Dark is incredible for reborning something like your opponent's Diabellstar to just kind of get you more additional resources. We have our 1 copy of IP Masquerena, as well as our 2 copies of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight's more important in Rescue Ace than it is in most other strategies, because you can use it in ways that more so benefit your combo, as well as just having it as interruption for your opponent. You'll see in one of the combos that we make it that because the Little Knight exists on our board, it's nearly impossible for our opponent to interact with our Turbulence, meaning that we'll get our +4 by setting 4 from the deck, and it's just absolutely incredible. We have our 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix. Again, we are in a format where back row removal is very, very strong, and it's a fire, and you can co-link it and draw a card, so it just works out really, really well. And then for the last Link 2, we have our 1 copy of Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. Just an incredible card, and definitely necessary for the combo that I'm going to show you guys. We have 3 Link 3s in our Decode Talker Heat Soul, our Promethean Princess, and our Celine. These 2, the Decode and the Promethean Princess, are the more important of the Link 3s, especially the Promethean Princess, because this is what allows you to use SP in a way that prevents your opponent from interacting with your Turbulence. And Heat Soul is going to be part of the really good big boy combo that I'm going to be showing you guys. And then finishing off the extra deck, we have a few Link 4s. We have our Access Code, our Amblo Whale, and our Appaloosa. These are just super standard. Amblo Whale combos really well with the Princess. Appaloosa is really good for when we end on IP, and the Access Code is an OTK line. Now, what you could potentially do is drop the Access Code and drop one of the SPs in favor of the Raging Phoenix Zelantis OTK, but I just think having the second SP is a little bit better than having a niche OTK, so that's why I made the choices that I made, but let's show you guys the combos. Now, for the first combo that we are going to show you guys, it is a 1.5 card combo utilizing Black Witch or Wanted to get into her, and any discard because you need the discard for the Witch, and this is going to make it so that your opponent cannot interact with your Turbulence, which is really cool because the set 4 is the big selling point of this strategy. So we're going to go ahead and discard a card to summon out our Witch, and then Witch is going to activate on summon to go ahead and set our original Sinful Spoils. We can activate the original Sinful Spoils, sending out the Witch, which is of course going to summon out our copy of Hydrant. Now that we have Hydrant, we can use this effect to go ahead and search our Airlifter because we have not normal summoned yet, and then we can go ahead and normal summon the Airlifter. Now in previous combos, this would be where you add your emergency, but we're actually not going to add the emergency here. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add the alert, and then we can activate the alert to search for our copy of Turbulence. Now this is why this combo is really cool. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and link off the Hydrant and the Airlifter. That is, of course, going to make our SP Little Knight, and then we can summon out the Turbulence by banishing both the Hydrant and the Airlifter. Now, the reason that this is cool is because previously what this would do is if our opponent had something like Effect Veiler or Infinite Impermanence, it forces them to use it right now, because if they use it in chain to the Turbulence effect, the Little Knight is going to be able to banish it, and then it's no longer on field to be negated by those cards. But the cool thing now that we have Promethean Princess is even if they shotgun the effect, or rather if they shotgun whatever negation or interaction they have, you go ahead and you link these off into your copy of Princess. Princess reborns the Turbulence, and then you can still just full combo. So we're going to go ahead and say that that's what happens. They go ahead, they imperm this on summon. You link off the Little Knight and the Turbulence. That is going to go into your copy of Promethean Princess. Promethean Princess is going to go ahead and reborn out your Turbulence. Turbulence is going to activate its effect, setting 4 from our deck, so our Emergency, our Rescue, our Contain, and our Extinguish. And then the final move that we are going to do is use the Princess and the Turbulence. This is going to go ahead and link off into our Amblo Whale, and that is going to be the end of our turn. Now, this does force us to use our Rescue to reborn the Turbulence in order to make the Emergency and Extinguish live, but I think that that's worth it because of the ability to now have the Princess in the graveyard as another form of interruption, and then we still just have follow-up on the following turn because we have our Emergency and we just have so many more resources, and your opponent's probably not going to be able to play through this unless their hand is really cracked. And now for the second and last combo of today's video, we're going to show you how the Snake Eye engine bridges you into the Rescue Ace engine, and it's really, really cool. So we're going to start things off with just a single copy of Snake Eye Ash, which we are going to normal summon and activate its effect to, of course, add the Poplar. Poplar is going to be able to summon itself with its own effect because it was added to hand, and then activate its effect on summon to add our copy of Original Sinful Spoils. Now we're going to take the Poplar, we're going to go ahead and link that off into our copy of Linkuriboh, which we can then use the Poplar's effect because it was sent to graveyard to place it back in the Spell and Trap Zone. We're going to use the Ash, sending itself and the Poplar. This is going to summon out our copy of Flamberge, and then we can use the Flamberge effect to go ahead and place either one of these back in the Spell Trap Zone, does not matter which one. But what that does is it gives us a free material to use for the original, so we're going to go ahead and send whatever we put in our Spell Trap Zone, using the original to summon out our copy of Rescue Ace Hydrant. Here, Hydrant's going to be able to activate its on-field effect to search, and because we've already normal summoned, we're actually going to go ahead and search out the Turbulence. Now, you might be questioning, how are we summoning out the Turbulence? We don't have 2 Rescue Ace names in rotation. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take the Linkuriboh and the Flamberge, and we're going to link those off into a copy of Barricade Borg Blocker. Now, Barricade Borg Blocker is used a lot as just a free way to discard cards, and it's really cool in this scenario because not only are we going to be able to put the Turbulence in grave, but we can also chain block our Flamberge. So we'll activate Flamberge as Chainlink 1 and Barricade Borg as Chainlink 2. Barricade Borg is going to go ahead and discard our Turbulence, and the Flamberge is going to summon back out 2 of our level 1 monsters. What we can do from here is we can go ahead and use the Barricade Borg and either of the level 1s. That is, of course, going to go into our copy of Promethean Princess, and now that we have Promethean Princess on board, we can go ahead and use its effect to reborn out our Turbulence. So we were able to force our way into a Turbulence without actually having to have 2 Rescue Aces in grave. So now we can use the Turbulence effect. We're going to go ahead and set the Alert, the Rescue, the Contain, and the Extinguish. Now, I do want to note that the Rescue can technically also be the Emergency if you want it, but I like the Rescue just to be able to reborn resources as well. But now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and activate our Alert, so we're going to place that in the grave just to show that it's been activated, and that's going to search for our Preventer, but we're not going to summon our Preventer just yet. There's one step that we want to do beforehand. We're going to take the Princess and the Hydrant. We're going to go ahead and link those off into our copy of Sunlight Wolf. The reason we're doing that is to get the Hydrant in the grave, because the Hydrant is what we want to banish for the summon of the Preventer. So we're going to go ahead and summon out the Preventer by banishing out our Hydrant. And what we can do now is we can go ahead and tribute our Ash for the graveyard effect of Linkuriboh, and that is going to summon the Linkuriboh into the Sunlight Wolf zone. Now that will activate our Sunlight Wolf effect, we're going to go ahead and add back our Snake Eye Ash, giving us guaranteed follow-up for the next turn, and then we can go ahead and use the Sunlight Wolf and the Linkuriboh, and this is going to go ahead and go into our copy of Heat Soul. Now, Heat Soul can pay 1,000 here to draw a card. It can be anything, does not matter what. And then we can use the Preventer and the Turbulence to link off into our copy of IP Masquerena. This is, of course, going to activate the effect of Preventer when it's sent to grave to summon back one of our Banish, which is going to be our Hydrant, and that is going to end our turn. So now we have the ability to use all of our Rescue Ace stuff because we have Hydrant. Our Heat Soul is going to draw us one more card, not to mention that it's currently being pumped up by 1,000, and then the IP Masquerena is going to be able to go into either an SP Little Knight or an Appaloosa using the materials that we have on board, whatever it is you feel is necessary for the matchup that you're in. And the reason I like the Rescue here is because Rescue is going to be able to reborn out the Preventer, which is another interruption in the form of a Book of Moon-esque effect. And there you guys have it. That is going to be my Rescue Ace Snake Eye deck profile and double combo tutorial. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Remember, if you want the budget version without the Snake Eye stuff, go ahead and get this video to 100 likes. Otherwise, you guys know the deal. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends. As always, don't forget to check out the channel sponsored Dueling Guard. Using code INSANE18, you can get 5% off your entire order, or if you use the link in the description down below, that will be automatically applied to your checkout. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.